All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Shenoa Farnsworth. Welcome to our webinar today. This is a part of our series of webinars called Insights for Resiliency. Hopefully, information you can use to weather this storm in your business. Undoubtedly, everybody is trying to figure out how to do that. If you are not familiar with Blue Startups, we are a venture accelerator located in Honolulu, Hawaii. We run a 3-month mentorship and investment program for technology startups. And despite the current environment, we are going to be starting our new cohort in August. Some of them will be participating like this on Zoom. Some of them will be here on site. So that's a little bit about Blue Startups. And like I said, we have about 150 mentors in our network. I see some of them on the line here today, so thank you. Some of our Blue mentors have tuned in. And we receive funding from private investors and the state of Hawaii to invest in companies primarily doing business in Hawaii, but also coming into the state from international and national locations. We have done now 12 cohorts here in Hawaii, and so we are very excited to move forward into the future and hope you will all be able to join us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Bobby Mack. Bobby and I actually have been working together for, I don't know how long now, Bobby, maybe the last 6 months or so, even more, working on some of these military issues and how to bring our local business community into more of these opportunities with the military. And so, you know, we worked on a couple of proposals together, some of which we got, some of which we didn't, and that's kind of the breaks with these things. But he's going to tell you more about that. He's got a great history both in startups and in working with the DoD, and is in fact a military spouse himself. So I'll let him introduce more about himself. Bobby.
Thanks, Shenoa. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. A little bit about me. Why am I giving this talk? I've been on both sides now. I've kind of come from that Silicon Valley tech startup life, and then I've worked on the government side, helping launch an Air Force program. And now I'm back consulting and helping companies go after contracting dollars and helping them just kind of wrap their heads around what it means to work with the government. So yeah, I initially started off helping companies with their go-to-market strategies, their branding strategies, marketing strategies. Was fortunate enough to be a part of 2 successful exits. And then at that time, I had moved to Las Vegas with my current wife, who's active duty Air Force, and thought, why not put my skills towards what they're doing. Serendipitously, AFWERX, the Air Force's innovation program, was launching, and in 2017, I was their first hire and kind of helped them both market to airmen internally, and then also small businesses like many of yours to help aggregate some of these innovative ideas and technologies so that we can make our military stronger. So I was the head of marketing and communications for AFWERX for a couple years, and after a few years, we moved stations, and so we got reassigned to here in Hawaii, beautiful Hawaii. I've been loving it, and since then I've started my own company and have been, like I said, consulting with companies on connecting with DoD opportunities. And then most recently, joined a team called Instant Teams, and we're helping build Hickam Air Force Base's telehealth solution, which is a whole nother story, but we'll go ahead and just kind of get started here. Next slide, just with some expectations. Let's see. This webinar is a starting point. If you already have a DoD contract, or if you've been working with the government for a while, there's probably some of this that might not be as applicable, but probably also some stuff that you might not have known about relating to AFWERX or Sivir. But we'll mainly be jumping into those 2 things. Also, just understand too, working with the government is not as easy. It is getting a lot better, but it does take a lot of time, as Shanoa knows, kind of just wrapping your head around, you know, what that means. And on the next slide, I'll kind of get into even just to start working with the government. What do you need to be recognized? And those sorts of things. Also understand the government is trying really hard. They've come a long way, even just within the last 3 years of what it means to work with the government, how to involve small businesses and some of the opportunities, creating better pathways for small businesses and for companies, industry to just connect and offer technology and innovation. So just know that they are trying. They do want to go fast. They do want to, you know, drive big change and stay, you know, a very, you know, powerful entity there. So it's just, you know, don't expect them to go as fast as another startup company, because they can't. You know, they're the government, and there's bureaucratic systems built around that, and they're in place for a reason, because of, you know, issues in the past that have kind of ruined it for the rest of us. So as long as you can navigate that and you have patience, then I think working with the government will definitely be something that you're interested in. And then lastly, just as far as expectations go, learn from what I'm saying today, do your own homework. Don't immediately pivot and make this your company's financial sustainability strategy. It really takes a bit of onboarding and learning before you commit to really putting a lot of eggs in one basket. And so I would recommend not doing that until you have at least one military contract and have a good, you know, strong pathway moving forward. But everything I'll talk about here today will hopefully intrigue you and also interest you in working with the government here. So starting off, you gotta, like I said, you have to become a recognizable entity within the government. So that means getting your DUNS number, your cage code number, registering your entity on the DSIP website, the Sivir portal. Again, there's going to be a lot of acronyms here. I have a whole page dedicated to kind of resources at the end here. So I know some of you are taking notes, but I'll have all these acronyms spelled out for you, and they'll make a little bit more sense here in just a second. But working with the government, it's not like just going B2B. You do have to be recognized. And then beyond just that initial steps, going into GSA is a whole nother area that I won't get into today, but that's a whole nother set of opportunities that are available to you. So again, part of the homework piece that I'm going to give you. But so next is just networking, just like you would do with any other channel or industry that you're trying to break into. Having military connections is very important. So start reaching out, get ahead of it as far as you can, because with some of the options that I'm going to talk about today, it's imperative that you do have that military connection to work with moving forward. Having them understand what you're doing and why it's applicable to the military will just only help your chances down the road. So start rubbing, you know, shoulders with some of the Air Force leaders and also even some captains, because those are the ones that are getting the work done and kind of doing the day-to-day. And start making those connections. Can't stress networking enough within the DoD realm, because it does take a little bit longer. It does take a little bit more effort for them to recognize who you are, what you bring to the military, so on and so forth. So and then invest time learning about where the opportunities are. You know, today again is a starting point. This will be a great point for you to get things going, but this is just scratching the surface, honestly, of what's available out there, from a local government level, state level, you know, federal, and then DoD. There's a lot out there. We're just going to be touching on two starting points that will help you kind of dip your toes a little bit instead of just jumping in the deep end there, and help you kind of fully understand what it means to work with the military. So the first one is DoD Innovation Programs. There's a ton of WERXs out there. You have SoftWorks, CyberWorks, StrikeWorks, and many more popping up every other day. There's also a lot of government innovation programs like DIU, Ensign, the Wright Brothers Institute. Again, I'll list all those out at the end of this presentation, all those acronyms and what they stand for. But the list goes on and on. The main one I'm going to be touching on is AFWERX. That's the Air Force's innovation program. And I'm not talking about them just because I've worked for them in the past, but it's also honestly because they do really just the best job of explaining things and communicating things and offering opportunities to both small businesses and industry. But then also you can start diving deep into the airman side too, and understanding what the airmen need from a industry partner, and kind of learning what they have to do on their end just to work with you. So AFWERX does just a really great job. They put out podcasts, webinars, all sorts of great stuff. AFWERX.af.mil is their website. Again, that'll be at the end, but just a great resource. So within AFWERX, the two main programs that we're going to be talking about, some recent developments with this is the Sivir program, that's SBIR, and then also the AFWERX Challenge program. And so those are just two that we'll be touching on, and we'll just jump right into it with Sivir. So learn it again, realize you don't understand it, and then try to learn it some more. Sivir has so many little idiosyncrasies about it. Again, AFWERX is doing a phenomenal job at trying to explain this in a way that is just a little bit more easy to comprehend. But it's a complex structure, and it's also just a very, very great opportunity. It's a $2 billion fund with a B that's set up every single year for small businesses specifically. So probably many of you on this call right now. And you can go into sibir.gov to see what qualifies you as a small business under their guidelines and things like that. But this is probably one of the best pathways to start working with the government. Tons of resources stem from the sibir.gov website, and also the Sivir tab on AFWERX's website for just learning opportunities and just options that you can start to work through. The really cool thing about Sivir is that they've, especially on the Air Force side, they've introduced this open topic. And so no longer do you need to have like a specific piece of technology that they're looking for. The Air Force and AFWERX have recognized that in order to go fast and to stay relevant and be a superpower, you need to aggregate technologies that they might not have thought about yet. And so they do this open call that you can apply to, and basically you're just submitting your technology and telling them why the government or the DoD needs it. So a lot of doors have been opened now with AFWERX in this Sivir program, and basically anyone can apply now. Whereas before, kind of those bigger players that were developing some of those really big defense capabilities were the only ones that could play in this realm. So again, Sivir is kind of complex, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. You have 3 phases. Sivir phase 1 is all about explaining the technology solution you have and why the DoD needs it. So you don't even need a DoD customer yet. You just have to fill out your cage code and your DUNS number, and remember, being a recognized entity, you have to do that. Just show them that you can write your name on the top of the paper, and then just tell them what you have and why they need it. And that, if you win that award, will allow you $50,000 to then develop that technology further, start looking for DoD customers, so on and so forth. Once you have filled out your proposal for your phase 1, the Sivir committee will review that and decide whether or not you're going to be receiving an award, which will then make you eligible for phase 2. So phase 2 is all about finding your DoD customer. That is the hardest thing to do with the Sivir process. As more DoD members are using Sivir as well and connecting with small businesses, it's becoming easier. But again, that's all about doing your networking and making connections out there, because that's a huge part of this. So with phase 2, you can either win a phase 1 and move on to phase 2, or if you already have established your military relationships, you can go direct to phase 2. And that's something that's new within the last 2 years is, you know, if you're doing a great job of networking and communicating well with why the DoD needs your technology, then you can just go straight to phase 2. And you might be wondering why. Well, there's a lot more money involved. You can be awarded up to $1 million with a phase 2 award. And then from there, you will develop the technology. Sivir is all about research and development. So how are you going to take your commercial solution and adapt it and apply it in a DoD use case? And you have a milestone schedule and cost volumes and technical volumes and tons of other documents that takes quite a while to put together, but nonetheless very informative for the Sivir committee to review to then decide whether or not you should be awarded that technology. So again, direct to phase 2 is another option you can do, but you got to be making those connections and you know, establishing yourself amongst those groups. So and then you have phase 3. So once you've either won a phase 1 award and you're going on to phase 2 and you've won that, or if you've gone direct to phase 2, you then prove your use case. You prove that you have created a technology for the military, that it is functioning, that it is working, and then you're going for a phase 3, which is really kind of where you start to step back from the Sivir program and you just work directly with your customer now. The Sivir guidelines will help you along the way in order to how to set up that contract. But a phase 3 is basically where Sivir says, good job, you did it. Continue to do great things with your customer. And then the customer, your DoD customer, takes full responsibility for you and signs a contract moving forward, which will then make you a program of record within the DoD, within the Air Force, or within the Navy or Army, you know, whomever it might be. All branches of the government have, or within the DoD have Sivir topics. Air Force is the only one with an open topic. So you might have an amazing technology that's creating the next GPS mapping torpedo or something crazy like that, and the Navy might be looking for that. But if they're not, and if you're looking through the lists of topics and you're not seeing where your technology applies, then apply for the Air Force open topic and begin learning what the whole process is like. Do your homework, learn all about that. Continue to establish your military relationships, and then don't give up. Honestly, I've applied for plenty of awards through companies I've consulted with or on my own and have not gotten awards. It usually takes about 3 or 4 tries to really get your proposal where it needs to be in order to receive an award. Don't get me wrong, some people get it right off the bat. First try, they don't even use a consulting company. They just have amazing technology and are able to put it together in a real clear, concise way. And sometimes you just get lucky, and that's what the military is looking for. They might be looking for that GPS mapping torpedo. They've been looking for it for the last 5 years, and then finally you show up. And that's kind of part of why I'm here today. Is I'm here to encourage you to look towards the DoD as a potential customer, because you never know. From the DoD side, they don't know what the next great thing is going to be that's going to revolutionize their force, you know. And then from your side, maybe this is just the first time you've ever thought about working with the DoD, and maybe there's a contract out there waiting for you. So why not give it a shot, you know? So again, go to AFWERX.af.mil, go to the For Industry tab, navigate down to Sivir to learn more. Tons of resources there for you. And then also too, just Google Sivir and see what people are talking about. See what people's experiences have been. Learn more about it. I can't encourage that enough. There's just a lot to learn there. So and yeah, don't give up. Cool. Okay, moving on to AFWERX Challenge. This is a really cool program. The AFWERX Challenge program is probably one of the best established pathways for the DoD to find solution partners and those solution partners to quickly get on contract with the government. So there's tons of ways you can contract with the government. You can do RFPs, you can do Sivir, you can do CSOs and all sorts of stuff. This process that AFWERX has established, their AFWERX Vegas hub is dedicated to it. They have an entire team of people running this program. It's just really dynamic. It's a really interesting case study to look at how the Air Force has developed a program that really works. I'm about to explain why. So what sets this program apart from the rest is that AFWERX selects an Air Force program office with appropriated funds that are ready to be spent solving their problem. So once you start getting into learning more about the DoD and things like that and how to contract, you'll realize that there are appropriated funds that you can spend certain monies on. And so what AFWERX has done is they've already eliminated that question of whether or not they can spend money on it. They designate it, and they help that DoD entity, that program office, connect with industry. So they're kind of doing all the hard work, and I'm about to explain why. And so from a DoD customer standpoint, as well as from a small business, medium-sized business, big military contractor standpoint, it's a really easy way to connect and understand the requirements, what they're looking for, and where you might apply or be applicable. So they begin by sourcing subject matter experts from both industry and within the DoD, and they get them in the same room to define the problem. So now you have pilots, you have acquisition officers, you have industry side experts, you have colonels and generals, all of them in the same room, which prior doesn't really happen very often. And so now you have everyone in the same room talking, collaborating. They have a great design thinking methodology behind all of this. And what they're doing is they're creating a problem statement. So that's the goal of the problem definition workshop, of getting everyone together, is to really at its core, what are we doing? What are we trying to solve? Because too many times before in the past, they put requirements out there and people apply to them and they don't solve the problem. The operator, the end user, our troops, they end up using the tech and they're like, this isn't what I need. That's where this program really comes into play and is really done well. So once they have that problem statement, AFWERX then leverages that. They do tons of marketing behind that problem statement. They send it out to the world. They crowdsource it through all sorts of incubator networks and tech accelerators and all sorts of stuff, trying to aggregate the solution providers. Who out there can solve this problem based on what we've defined. So now you have not just the big players, not just Boeing or Raytheon or any of those big guys that are trying to solve these big military contract problems. You now have everybody and anybody that might have a good idea participating. Because again, we don't know where the next great idea is going to come from that's going to strengthen our military, right? And also too, you now have the best possible solution because it's open. It's an open forum. Anyone can apply. So whether you're an exec at Boeing or whether you're a garage tinkerer, you're still able to apply and both have the same chance of getting selected. So then what they do from that point, they have hundreds of companies that are trying to participate. They select the top 50 or 100 companies and they invite them to a showcase where they then get to see their competition and also potentially collaborate with their competition. This is where a lot of that those intersections happen, where you might be within the same industry, but you're missing a component part that the guy across the way might have, or the company across the other side of the room might have. And so really cool opportunity to get in the same room and see who's who. I mean, you're talking top 100 companies in the world that have to do with this certain technology set that they're trying to solve, this problem that they're trying to solve. So really dynamic showcase there that they do. During that showcase, what they'll end up doing is allow you 10 to 15 minutes to pitch directly to the DoD customer, so directly to the program office, the decision makers that will either be writing you a contract at the end of the day or down selecting to some other group or company. And so you get face-to-face with them, which again, for small businesses is hard to do, to get in front of the actual decision makers that can allow acquisition to happen. But this is what the AFWERX Challenge Program offers. They offer you an opportunity to get in front of those customers, explain why your technology is needed and applicable to what they're looking for, and then also receive feedback too. So really cool way that they go about things. From there, what they're going to do is offer maybe one company that might have a full solution ready to go, exactly what they might have been looking for. They might have component parts, and so they might offer 2 or 3 or 5 companies prototyping money. But either way, funds have already been appropriated, and you can begin either prototyping for them or working with them directly under a military contract moving forward, and begin working with the military. So again, visit AFWERX.af.mil. It's a great place just to poke around and see what's what, and really explore the space a little bit. Yeah, probably one of the better innovation networks that are available to you. So now we're going to get into some of those resources that I talked about. I'm just going to run through this list real quick, and then we'll open it up to some questions. So again, Sivir, SITR, STTR is the Small Business Technology Transfer. That's similar to what Sivir is. However, there has to be an academic institution involved. DSIP, this is a new portal that is established within the last 2 years, where the entire proposal lies. So instead of typing out your proposal, putting it in a manila folder, mailing it off to a program office, they now have an entire portal that has been set up, where everything is just virtually online. Again, not quite where it needs to be, but still a lot better than where it was. Chanel's laughing. She knows that it's kind of, it's still a lot better. So, and then we have some of the other innovation networks: NSIN, the National Security Innovation Network; DIU, Defense Innovation Unit; AFWERX. That doesn't stand for anything. It's just AFWERX. People ask me that a lot. And then on the right side, AFWERX.af.mil. I said that plenty of times. Cibir.gov, great resource. Start clicking around there. SAM.gov, that's where you're going to need to go for your cage code and your DUNS and all that stuff. Beta.sam.gov, that's going to be where resources lie. And so that's something that you can check in on continually and see, who's releasing what. The Navy's releasing, the next requirements for what's important to them. The Army's releasing this, so on and so forth. And there's multiple sites. That's just one. So again, there's multiple sites on where this stuff lives. But these are just some of the ones to get you started. Again, as you start poking around, you're going to see a lot more. And then lastly, I would encourage you all to check out the Defense Entrepreneurs Forum, DEF. This is an amazing network of collaborators, both in the DoD and outside the DoD, as civilians that are just interested in empowering and further strengthening our DoD's capabilities. So I'd recommend just seeing if there's a local chapter in your area. There is one here in Hawaii. I'm a co-founder of, and before COVID, we were holding monthly meetings and getting together and talking about what's what within the DoD, who's doing what where, what the new focuses are, so on and so forth. And then also from the industry perspective, who can get involved and why, and just offering insights, just a group that can get together and collaborate around how to further strengthen our military. So, yeah, here's just some resources for you.
All right. So on that note, we'll thank Bobby very much. Thank you, Bobby. Great job. We will follow up with everybody that registered with Bobby's PowerPoint, so you have those resources, and maybe his contact information, so you can get in touch with him if you have more questions. And yeah, that's it. So thank you everyone for participating today, and tune in again in another couple of weeks where we'll have another Insights for Resiliency webinar. So keep an eye out for those. Thanks again, everybody. Aloha.